There are too many special guests to recognize individually, but we have numerous public safety leaders here, and most important, friends and family members of the honorees in the audience. We thank you for attending. I would also like to introduce our leaders seated at the front of the room. Closest to me is Tennessee Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Greg Adams, Commissioner, Department of Safety and Homeland Security, Bill Gibbons, State Adjutant General, Major General Max Haston, Special Agent in Charge, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, Kevin Williams, Deputy Commissioner, Department of Safety and Homeland Security, Larry Godwin, Assistant Commissioner, Office of Homeland Security, State Homeland Security Advisor, David Perkey, Colonel Highway Patrol, Tracy Trott, Assistant Commissioner, Driver's License, Department of Safety and Homeland Security, Lori Bullard, and Assistant Director, Tennessee Emergency Management Agency, Charlie Bryant. At this time, I would like to introduce the Assistant Commissioner of Homeland Security and Tennessee Homeland Security Advisor, David Perkey. Commissioner Perkey has over 25 years of state experience, over 25 years of state and local government, law enforcement, and emergency management experience. He has been the State Homeland Security Advisor since January 2011. Prior to this time, he served as County Mayor, Hamilton County, for 16 years. In that capacity, he served as the Chairman of Homeland Security District 2. Please welcome Commissioner Perkey.
Thank you, Rick. Good morning, everyone. Let me, on behalf of the state of Tennessee, welcome you to your capital. When I was a county mayor, and Mayor Jimmy Harris, you'll appreciate this, I used to tell people that the courthouse belongs to them. It does not belong to us. This is your capital, and you're welcome here anytime, so we're glad to have you. It's my privilege this morning not only to recognize these honorees as a former first responder myself, but I also have the privilege of introducing the Commissioner of the Department of Safety and Homeland Security. Bill Gibbons was born in Arkansas. He came to Memphis, Tennessee with his family at an early age, got his undergraduate and law degrees from Vanderbilt University here in Nashville, was in private practice in Memphis for a period of time, but he has also served 3 governors, and I think that's important. He was a policy assistant to Governor Lamar Alexander in the late 70s and early 80s. He was tapped by Governor Don Sundquist to be the District Attorney General for Shelby County. There was a vacancy at the time, and he went to Bill Gibbons to fill that vacancy in 1996. And then in January of 2011, he was appointed by Governor Bill Haslam as the Commissioner of the Department of Safety and Homeland Security. He is married to the United States Court of Appeals Judge Julia Gibbons, has 2 children. And just on a personal note, before I invite him to the podium, I've now had the opportunity to work with him for almost 3 years. And Harry Truman once said that the mark of a leader is how he treats those who can't talk back. This man is a leader for the state of Tennessee. If you have the opportunity to work for him, you consider it to be a pleasure. You know the direction that the department and the governor wants the department to go in. He makes that very clear, and he lets you do your job. He's just a pleasure to work with. Let me ask you to welcome the Commissioner of the Department of Safety and Homeland Security, my boss and my friend, Bill Gibbons.
Well, thank you very much, Assistant Commissioner Perkey, for that very kind introduction. I want to thank all of you for being here this morning at our state's capital. We appreciate your special efforts to be here. For those of you who are being honored to here this morning, as well as other first responders, I want to thank you for your public service, as well as the sacrifices that I know that you and your family members make. So on behalf of the entire department, I thank you for that. We are very, very honored this morning to have as our keynote speaker Greg Adams, who's already been introduced as our state's Chief Operating Officer. Greg, before he started work as our Chief Operating Officer just in July of this year, had been working with IBM for 36 years. And during the time he worked for IBM, he wore a lot of different hats. He held positions in sales, marketing, operations, re-engineering and quality, and general management. So he saw really all facets of the IBM operation. He also spent time in a lot of different parts, not only of this country, but the world. During his time at IBM, he was in Knoxville, Nashville, Tokyo, New York, and Atlanta. So he was in a lot of different places in his capacity with IBM. Greg earned his bachelor's degree from Princeton University in 1976, and then earned a master's degree from MIT in 1989. He's married to his wife, Janine. They've been married for 36 years. He has 3 married children and 5 grandchildren. As the state's new Chief Operating Officer, Greg's job is really to take the lead for Governor Haslam in making sure that Tennessee is the best managed state in the nation. His job on a day-to-day basis is to work with state departments, such as the Department of Safety and Homeland Security, to ensure that they are operating in the most efficient way possible. And I can tell you, having worked with Greg now for a little over 2 months, that he is bringing to this task a real sense of energy and a sense of focus. And the state and the state's citizens are going to be better off as a result of his public service. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you our new Chief Operating Officer for the state of Tennessee, Greg Adams.
Thank you, Commissioner, and good morning, everybody. On behalf of Governor Haslam, let me add my welcome to my fellow citizens from across the state, to our elected officials from across the state, to our wonderful Homeland Security team, and most importantly, to our honorees and to their families. This is a real privilege for me to be with you this morning. When Governor Haslam brought me on board, one of the things he said to me was, he said, you know, Greg, I want you to make sure that all the departments of state government are delivering the best customer service to our citizens across the state. And, you know, I can't think of a better example of customer or citizen service than our honorees today, because these folks put on a uniform, you know, every day and spend their day not only training others to save people's lives, but in many cases have also risked their lives to save people's lives. So this is truly an honor for me, you know, to be with you folks this morning. 12 years ago, on a beautiful, sunny September Connecticut, New York morning, I lived there. I decided that morning not to go into the IBM office in Midtown Manhattan on 590 Madison, but decided to go to our White Plains office, which was about 27 miles away. By noon that day, I was in a situation room responsible for tracking the whereabouts of all the IBMers in New York City and Washington, D.C. We had been attacked that morning in the United States, 3 locations. Close to 3,000 people lost their lives. 411 of our emergency service personnel. 9/11 is a defining moment for us as American citizens. It was an attack on innocence. And I think all of us remember where we were that day. I also remember the spirit of disbelief and fear. My family and I at that time lived in a community, a bedroom community in Connecticut of New York City, about 50 miles away from the city. And 50% of the citizens in our town, usually we took the train in every day. And so I remember the panic and fear of my daughter that evening when she said, "Dad, I didn't know where you were." And that was all throughout that area. I'd never seen so many churches in Connecticut have prayer meetings on a weekday. They usually don't do that up there. I'll never forget the memorial service that we had in our town. Like many of the towns here in Tennessee, about 16,000 people. And we had a memorial service in the football stadium for 16 people that lost their lives, that day. But yet, the American spirit remained. And you folks, people across the country, we started coming back. And one of the neatest examples that I had a chance to be a part of was Game 3 of the World Series. And I think it was only fitting at that time that one of the New York City teams was in the World Series. And so, even though we were devastated and we had this resolve that we were going to come back, we were kind of looking for, we were looking for a sense of normalcy, and it was ironic to me that baseball and the World Series was one opportunity for us to have a feeling of that normalcy coming back. It was Game 3 of the World Series between the Yankees and the Arizona Diamondbacks, and the first two games were in Arizona and Game 3 was in New York. And the rumor was that President Bush was going to come and throw out the first ball. And like today, I was privileged to be able to be there in the stadium. But I never forget that the city was on high alert. Attorney General John Ashcroft had warned that the terrorists were planning to strike again that week. We had our first breakout of pulmonary anthrax that was going through the city. That evening, the bomb-sniffing dogs, the metal detectors, I stood in line for 3 hours to get through security. And we could hear the helicopters, the military helicopters going overhead. And it was an eerie feeling. And I remember, my poor daughter at this time, she's like beside herself. She's like, "Dad, is the Yankees game really that important?" And you Yankee fans know it is. But I said, "Katie, we can't let evil control how we're going to live our lives." And so, folks, it was an amazing 10 minutes where, in the stadium, above the center field flagpole was the tattered flag from the World Trade Center. The eagle that you've seen flew in from center field, landed at home plate, and then George Bush came out of the dugout. And he came out with like 8 umpires. And it was interesting, we found out later that the players were all saying to one another, "Who are those guys?" They didn't recognize any of the umpires, and the umpires were Secret Service. And then some of you probably, know the story, but before that, President Bush had a bulletproof vest on. And so he was very concerned that I want to throw a strike. I don't want to bounce this, in front of all these people. And so what he did, he went underneath the stadium and he actually warmed up. And as he was leaving, Derek Jeter, the captain of the Yankees, future Hall of Famer, here's an encouraging thing, turned to him and said, "Mr. President, Yankee fans, if you one-hop this thing, we're going to boo you." So, but I tell you, he didn't one-hop it. He came out, he stormed out of the dugout, gave us a thumbs up, threw a strike, and the crowd erupted. And it was just, to me, a spirit, just a sign of the spirit of the American people, that we're going to come back from this. And so I think, anniversaries and ceremonies like this, and like we've had this week, throughout our country are just really important for us to honor, the people who have given their lives, and as a reminder to us that our task isn't done. And hopefully it will energize us, to the things we need to continue to do. We've been blessed that there's been no major attacks on U.S. soil since 9/11. I mean, there's been some horrible ones around the world, whether it's Great Britain, Spain, Bali, Pakistan, India. Recently we had one in Boston. But we've been fortunate we've been able to disrupt these attacks through just the diligence of many of the people in this room and our services people, such as our folks, the Screaming Eagles at Fort Campbell right down the road. And the good news about Tennessee, as I look at Tennessee from an operations point of view, we're in a much better position than we were 12 years ago. We've organized, trained, and equipped first responders and law enforcement personnel all across the state. We have 11 Homeland Security districts that are in place to make sure that we're cooperating, strategizing, and working together. We've received close to $600 million of Homeland Security grants that we've used these funds for equipment, for training, and for many exercises. And let me just go through some of the equipment and things that have been put in place with that money. Communication vehicles, trailers, towers and radios, critical infrastructure protection equipment, bomb squad equipment, items to support mass casualty events, equipment for law enforcement, special weapons and tactics, our SWAT teams, hazardous materials response equipment, and information sharing systems, and so much more. In addition to that, the teams around the state have conducted 80 exercises in preparation, done advanced training for over 1,000 of our law enforcement and first responder individuals. One of the things we're very good at in Tennessee is intelligence and information sharing amongst our different organizations. In fact, in 2011, our facility was recognized as the best in the United States. I mean, we really have a team of teams from a local basis, from a state basis, and a federal basis. So I think probably the last thing for all of us today is we just have to be careful of a sense of complacency. We haven't had a major attack in 12 years, and it was 8 years before that, the first World Trade Center attack. But I think we know from just reading the news every day, we face a real dangerous threat. And it's important for us, all of us in this room, to be diligent and to keep our eyes open. And if we see something, to make a phone call, to investigate. And I think it's important, again, like we've done this whole week, is just to remember the sacrifice of 12 years ago that so many people made, and our resolve coming out of that. And last of all, I would just ask you all of the room, I'm proud of them, but I would just ask you, and I know you are, to just be proud of our Tennessee Homeland Security members, and more importantly, the members that are going to be honored here this morning for their dedication and service. Again, thank you, men and women, and thank you, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Mr. Adams in front row, if you'd step to the front of the podium. Let's open the doors, please. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, Chief Operating Officer Greg Adams will present Governor's Certificates of Achievement to our honorees. Lieutenant Terry Johnson, Bristol Police Department, is being presented a Governor's Certificate of Appreciation for exceptional support to Homeland Security District 1 for his supervision of emergency response team operations during the Bristol Motor Speedway NASCAR events in 2012-2013. Captain Brian Horton, Washington County Sheriff's Office, is being presented a Governor's Certificate of Appreciation for exceptional support to Homeland Security District 1 for developing and implementing an armed intruder in schools program in the Washington County school system. Captain Jeff Birchfield, Blount County Sheriff's Office, is being presented a Governor's Certificate of Appreciation for exceptional support to Homeland Security District 2 for his 25 years of dedicated service in the Maryville Police Department and the Blount County Sheriff's Office, where he led numerous land and water urban search and rescue missions. His award is being accepted on his behalf by Mr. Bill Cole of District 2. Michelle Matson, Jefferson City Fire Department, is being presented a Governor's Certificate of Appreciation for exceptional support to Homeland Security District 2 for her efforts in community outreach, fire and disaster prevention, and community emergency response team training. Paramedic Myron Schraepfer and Emergency Medical Technician Kelly Tornow, Hamilton County Emergency Services, are being presented a Governor's Certificate of Appreciation for exceptional support to Homeland Security District 3 for their response and successful cardiopulmonary resuscitation of a 17-year-old high school student. Officer Terry Lindsay, Allgood Police Department, is being presented a Governor's Certificate of Appreciation for exceptional support to Homeland Security District 4 for his exemplary service to the community and in training the officers of his department. Officer Keith Smith, Livingston Police Department, is being presented a Governor's Certificate of Appreciation for exceptional support to Homeland Security District 4 for his exemplary service to the community and in training the officers of his department. Scott Harris, Davidson County Emergency Management Agency, is being presented a Governor's Certificate of Appreciation for exceptional support to Homeland Security District 5 for his outstanding support as a first response coordinator, particularly during the recent flooding events in Madison. Chief Mark Yother, Manchester Police Department, is being presented a Governor's Certificate of Appreciation for exceptional support to Homeland Security District 6 for his 31 years of dedicated service to the department and his significant improvements to the department as Chief of Police. Lieutenant Steve Warren, Clarksville Police Department, is being presented a Governor's Certificate of Appreciation for exceptional support to Homeland Security District 7 for his dedication as the department's Homeland Security Coordinator and his ability to seamlessly manage information sharing within the district, Fort Campbell, and Kentucky law enforcement agencies. Fire Marshal Robbie Street, Dixon Fire Department, is being presented a Governor's Certificate of Appreciation for exceptional support to Homeland Security District 7 for his efforts as Urban Search and Rescue Team Leader and Special Response Team member. Firefighter Brian Green, Lawrenceburg Fire Department, and Officer Terry Beecham, Lawrenceburg Police Department, are being presented a Governor's Certificate of Appreciation for exceptional support to Homeland Security District 8 for their heroic rescue, saving the lives of 2 young boys from a vehicle submerged upside down in icy water. Firefighter Emergency Medical Technician David Williams and Firefighter Emergency Medical Technician Jacob Sullivan, Dyersburg Fire Department, are being presented a Governor's Certificate of Appreciation for exceptional support to Homeland Security District 9 for their heroic rescue, saving the life of a 5-year-old boy from a burning smoke-filled residence. Chief Eric Turner, Captain Matt Gay, firefighter Hoyt Huckabee, and firefighter Michael Turner, Madison County Fire Department, are being presented a Governor's Certificate of Appreciation for exceptional support to Homeland Security District 10 for their heroic rescue, saving the lives of two individuals from a burning, smoke-filled assisted living facility. Chief James Graves, Millington Fire Department, is being presented a Governor's Certificate of Appreciation for exceptional support to Homeland Security District 11 for his diligence in researching, developing, and equipping the fire department, significantly enhancing the ability to respond to a multitude of events. The Citizen Corps program is an initiative to encourage citizens to become involved in Homeland Security and emergency preparedness efforts within their local area. Accepting the Citizen Corps award is Colin Nix, Knox County Emergency Management Agency, being presented a Governor's Certificate of Appreciation for exceptional support to the Citizen Corps for his leadership and work in training of Community Emergency Response Team Train-the-Trainer courses to the citizens of East Tennessee over the last 9 years. Area Coordinator Kenneth Fritz, Tennessee Emergency Management Agency, is being presented a Governor's Certificate of Appreciation for exceptional support for dedicated service, beginning with the Oak Ridge Fire Department, where he retired as a captain, establishing the Anderson County Emergency Management Agency, and finally retiring from TEMA after a total of 53 years of public service. Trooper Scott Lewis and Trooper Terrence Gann, Tennessee Highway Patrol, are being presented a Governor's Certificate of Appreciation for exceptional support to the state of Tennessee for their heroic rescue of numerous individuals, to include small children who had been trapped in their vehicles by sudden flooding in South Pittsburgh recently. Dr. Marion Kaner, Tennessee Department of Health, is being presented a Governor's Certificate of Appreciation for exceptional support for her investigation that identified the fungal meningitis outbreak, reducing the toll from this outbreak. Dr. Kaner was awarded at the White House by President Obama Tuesday in recognition of this investigation. Please recognize our honorees for their selfless service to Tennessee. Front row, if you'd be seated again, please. These ceremonies involve a lot of work to come together. This ceremony came off the way it did because of this lady right here, Miss Stephanie Hamby. Let's give her a round of applause At this time, I'd like to introduce the Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Safety and Homeland Security for closing remarks. Commissioner Godwin joined us after a lengthy career in the Memphis Police Department, culminating with serving as director for 7 years. Please welcome Commissioner Godwin to the microphone.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Rick. And if I may, I want to give a special thanks to our Chief Operating Officer, Greg Adams, for sharing a special memory of a very horrifying day of 9/11. For we all felt that pain and the hurt across our ranks. And as first responders, we remember where we were and how we felt on that September day. I can remember the silence in the skies, and I know you can too. I do want to recognize the family and friends that are here today. I can't tell you how important it is for you to be here, and coworkers. And I'm sitting here looking at them and smiles on their faces and for attending today's ceremony. You know, my wife asked me many times, how do you stay so passionate? How do you stay so energized? It's you. It's you. That's what pumps me up. That's what makes me feel good. That's what makes me want to come in and say great things. It's law enforcement. It's officers. It's fire. It's emergency and medical personnel. That's special, and it's a constant source of inspiration to me. From IEDs to automobile crashes to natural disasters, you're always there. Not just today, but you're there every day. Every day. Every day of the year without hesitation. And the thing that amazes me the most is you're humble. We're always humble about it. As a community, and throughout our communities, we should take comfort. Because we know that our local teams are well prepared, well trained, and they'll respond to each and every tragic event. And that's why we're here today. It's so important to honor and recognize you for what you do. You protect our citizens, the great state of Tennessee. And we have a duty to ensure that your bravery does not go unnoticed. And that's why we're all here today. And to receive the support and recognition that you rightly deserve. As Rick touched on, as a commissioned officer now working on 41 years, I know what it means to be a first responder. And just so you know, I got 2 boys that followed my path that are law enforcement. And I think about them and in that stop and what they're going to do. I had a brother that was a firefighter that rescued one and a police officer before he died. His son is a police officer. So I kind of know the first responder side. I led an agency of over 3,000 employees. And I know what it's like to be over an IED and all you can hear is your heartbeat. And you can hear yourself breathing. Because there's nothing else right there you're going to hear. And that's why I'm so honored to be here with you. And to personally thank each and every one of the honorees here today for your dedication, for your commitment, for your service to the citizens in the state of Tennessee. And I want you to know from the bottom of my heart, we're so proud of you. We support you, and we thank you for accepting the calling, because you and I both know it takes something in here to do this. It takes something special, and I thank you for that. And may God bless you and bless our great nation. Thank you very much.
At this time, I'd also, I don't know where she just disappeared to. Oh, it's over there. Thank State Photographer Don Majors for supporting us at this event. At this time, I'd ask that the individuals on the podium stand. Our first responders come up to the podium. Don is going to take a group picture. And then she'll remain around after the event to take individual pictures, as I'm sure the individuals on the podium are. Let's give our honorees, these fine first responders, one more round of applause.